I normally get two questions. What is a doula? And then when they hear I'm a doula, they say, oh, it's like a midwife, right? I'm Lindsay Hughes. I'm a labor doula in Athens, Georgia. Distinguishing a doula from a midwife is maybe the most helpful part. So a doula traditionally is just a woman that comes along, another woman giving birth, or really in any phase of life, and they act as physical support, emotional support, educational support. So doula and a midwife are different in that a doula doesn't handle any of the medical aspects. We're doing all of the double hip squeezes during labor, the positioning, but we're not handling the medical, and we're solely there for the mother. I obviously got into this not realizing quite how terrifying the state of care in the U.S. is. In the last 20 years, like, maternity care has not gotten better. It's gotten worse, is like one of the scariest things. The U.S. is an industrialized, civilized country, and yet we have maternal mortality rates and infant mortality rates, fetal mortality rates that are increasing and not decreasing. And then within that, you have African American women that are dying 3 times faster in pregnancy and childbirth than white women. And any minority, it's increased. The biggest change that's happened in the U.S. is a shift from pregnancy being a normal physiological event in a woman's life to it being looked at as an illness or something that they need extra care for. It's this cycle of you need these OBs, but when they start taking over the entire care, you start to see huge gaps forming. It was so traumatic for my first that I couldn't even put it into words, and I love to write. He was breech at 39 weeks. I had been planning up until then like a natural birth, and so when I went in and he was breech and they didn't offer me any other alternatives, they scheduled the C-section. They didn't ask. They scheduled the C-section for 3 days later. I didn't even know that I could have said no. So just the whole process was less than ideal. And looking back with what I know now, I would have said no. I would have said, give me a week. I'm not at term. Or can we try this? Or can we try? Like, I wasn't given options. And that's the white coat syndrome. I was like, my doctor's saying this. I have to do it. And so I think that more so than the C-section was the trauma. It was having my ability to choose and to have a say in what was happening to my body was taken from me. And I think having a doula would have given me the support I needed to stand up for myself in that, that I didn't know that I could. I didn't feel like I had a voice that had a right to be heard. So I think if you are looking at birth trauma, things may not go completely the way they want, but if they felt like they were an active participant, if they felt like they had a voice, the level of trauma goes down significantly. And so as a doula, I'm able to tell them they have a voice and then let them use it. And that is one of the most incredible things, to watch them start to ask questions. I can advocate, and I can see the role of me advocating for women. I also want women to advocate for themselves, because I found myself in a very vulnerable place where I didn't even know I could say no to this doctor. And so I didn't. I went along with it, and then I suffered. When a woman knows she has a voice and she feels like she has had a say over her body, you're going to reduce the trauma. And so I think a big misunderstanding of doulas is that we are going to be the ones to speak on your behalf. So we protect you in the birthing room, but it's not because we're saying to the nurse, hey, she doesn't want this. A role of a doula, or at least my goal as a doula, is to come alongside the mother and create space to allow her to use her voice. Because if I am doing that and using my voice to speak on her behalf, I'm kind of doing the same thing that these providers have done, and that's taking her voice away. A woman that you give a voice in birth during the most simultaneously vulnerable and powerful things in her life, that's going to echo into every other area of her life. All it takes is being around one woman who didn't have a voice and finds it, and you realize it's worth it.